Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namah Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Desha Tarini Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So yesterday we were observing Pandava Nirjao on the Mahadvadasi.
昨天我们在马哈达的西，我们遵守潘德瓦尼尔教的艾克达西。
And today is we're celebrating the Panihati Shiradahi festival.
今天我们庆祝的是潘尼哈提契热达希的节日。
So Panihati down near on the just not very far away from Calcutta.
潘尼哈提离加尔各答不远。
It's one of the places where Lord Chaitanya would regularly visit and Lord Nityananda also.
这是主宰坦尼经常访问的地方，而且还有主尼天南的也经常去。
And Panihati is the home of Raghava Pandit, who was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya.
潘尼哈提是 Raghava Pandit 的家，他是主宰坦尼的一位伟大奉献者。
Raghava Pandit lived there with his sister Damayanti, and the two of them were very expert cooks.
Raghava Pandit 跟他的姐妹达摩央提一起住在那里，他们两个人都是非常专业的厨师。
They would cook the whole year, and they would prepare things. And when they went to Jagannath Puri for the festival of Rath Yatra, they would bring everything they cooked over the year. They put it all in a big sack and carry it to Jagannath Puri.
他们两个人一年到头都在烹调，然后做各种各样的准备。等到了弹车节 Rath Yatra 的时候，他们就会带一大口袋的好吃的东西，一年准备出来的去 Jagannath Puri。
They could cook things so nicely that nothing went off. They could keep it for a year.
他们做的吃的特别好吃，而且还能够保鲜，一年都可以保留。
And they would bring it to Jagannath Puri. They'd give everything to Lord Chaitanya.
他们到了 Jagannath Puri 的时候，就会把所有的一切都给主宰坦尼。
So Lord Chaitanya it said one of the places in which Lord Chaitanya would manifest his pastimes was in the home of Raghava Pandit.
据说主宰坦尼显现逍遥时光的地点之一就是 Raghava Pandit 的家。
But today we're not just thinking about Raghava Pandit, but we're thinking about Ragunath Das Goswami.
但是今天我们并不仅仅要想着 Raghava Pandit， 我们还要去意念一下 Ragunath Das Goswami。
Now Ragunath Das, he was not from Panihati, he was from another place.
Ragunath Das 并不来自于帕尼哈提，他来自于另外的一个地方。
And he was born in a very wealthy family. His father and his uncle were the two wealthiest people in Bengal.
他出生在一个非常富有的家庭，他的父亲以及他的父亲的兄弟是孟加拉最富有的人。
Yeah, so they were Govardhan and Haranya Majumdar were their names.
Govardhan 和 Majumdar 就是他的父亲，还有他的
Govardhan and Haranya Majumdar.
Govardhan 和 Haranya Majumdar.
Right? So one was the father, one was the uncle.
一个是父亲，一个是他的叔父。
And they were supporting all the brahmanas in Bengal.
他们支持着孟加拉所有的 Brahmana。
Because in the times of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the brahmanas would simply live by begging.
因为在主宰他的马哈布的那个时代，所有的 Brahmana 们都靠乞讨为生。
And they would receive donations from rich people like Ragunath's father and uncle.
他们会从一些富人那里接受布施，就像是 Ragunath 的父亲，还有他的叔父。
So when Ragunath was a very young man, he heard about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he was immediately attracted.
当 Ragunath 还是个年轻人的时候，他听说了主宰他的马哈布，于是他立刻受到了吸引。
He desired to go from home and to be with Lord Chaitanya.
他想离开家，跟主宰他待在一起。
But whenever he would try to go away from home, his parents would send men after him to capture him and bring him back.
但是每当他离开家要出去的时候，他的父亲都会找人，然后把他给抓回来。
And they had him married to a very beautiful young girl.
他娶了一个非常漂亮的姑娘。
And he was surrounded by opulence, all kinds of wealth.
他周围环绕着各种各样的财富。
But he was not attached to any of these things.
但是他并不依附这之中的任何一件事情。
He was just simply thinking about how to get away from the home.
他只是想着怎么才能够离开家庭。
So the mother and father were thinking to have him roped, tied up with ropes.
他的父亲和母亲想着应该用绳子把他绑起来。
But then they thought, he has a wife who's as beautiful as the goddess of fortune, and he has wealth equal to Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods. So if these two things cannot keep him, then ropes will never keep him.
但是他们接着又想，他有一个美丽的妻子，就像是幸运女神本人那么漂亮，而且他还有等同于半神人的司库库贝尔那么多的财富。如果这些都不能够绑住他，那绳子能有什么用处呢？
So his father had a whole group of men whose job was just simply to be with Ragunath and to follow him everywhere and make sure he didn't run away from home.
于是他的父亲找了一群的人来看着他，无论他到哪儿都跟着他，这样就确保他不会离家出走。
So it happened that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to one place and Ragunath was able to go there and meet him.
结果主宰他那爬到了一个地方，然后 Ragunath 他就能够有机会到那儿去见他。
And he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told him, he said, you know, I want to leave home, I want to come and join you, I want to go and just be away from this material life.
于是 Ragunath 就跟主宰他那说，我想加入你，我不想在这个家里待着，我想离开我的家庭生活。
But Lord Chaitanya told him, don't act like a foolish person, don't be a sahajya.
但是主宰他那说，不要像一个愚蠢的人那样去做事情，不要做一个 sahajya。
Sahajya means one who takes everything very cheap.
sahajya 的意思是一个对待所有的事情都很廉价的人。
And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, you go home and keep the Lord in your heart and behave like a normal person.
主宰他那告诉他，你应该回家，应该把 Krishna 放在你的心里，然后像一个正常人那样的
And
行事。
in time, in the future, then the Lord will make arrangements for you to be delivered.
等将来时机成熟了之后，主就会安排你可以受到拯救。
So with that instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ragunath went home and he just behaved like a normal person.
从主宰他那里得到了这个训示之后 ，Ragunath 回到家里就像一个正常人一样生活。
But he didn't live he lived just in the veranda of the house. He didn't live actually inside the house. He just spent his time in the yard outside the home.
但其实他住在他们家的阳台上，他并不住在房间里，他在他们家的院子里待着。
And he was very good and helpful in the family with diplomatic problems.
而且他非常擅长处理家庭之中遇到的外交问题。
At one point, his father and uncle were in trouble. They had done they'd done some business where they took money which was not actually for them, it was actually belonging to the Muslim ruler.
有一次，他的父亲和他的叔父陷入了麻烦之中，因为他们在做生意的时候拿了一笔本来不该属于自己的钱，那笔钱属于穆斯林的统治者。
And the father and the uncle, they both ran away, but Ragunath stayed back. And Ragunath met the Muslim police who had come to arrest him.
Ragunath 的父亲和叔父他们就逃跑了，而 Ragunath 留了下来。后来呢，等这个穆斯林的这个人来了之后呢，就把他抓了起来。
So Ragunath talked to these Muslim people, the government administrators who'd come, and he talked to them so nicely that the Muslim men just felt completely captivated by Ragunath, and they just surrendered to Ragunath, and they just said, "Oh, we don't mean to trouble you, and yes, it's all right, we will make arrangements."
等这个穆斯林来了之后呢 ，Ragunath 以这样的一种方式说话，结果呢打动了这个穆斯林。这个穆斯林最后就说：“哦，其实我根本就不想给你任何的麻烦。”这个穆斯林臣服了 Ragunath。
So Ragunath was so expert, he could deal with all these different kinds of problems.
Ragunath 非常的擅长处理这样的问题。
But still, he wanted to get away from home.
但仍然他想离开家。
And then it happened that Lord Nityananda came to Panihati, and he came with all of his followers, who were all the cowherd boys who traveled with Lord Nityananda.
后来主尼天南的来到了帕尼哈蒂，而且他跟自己的这些牧牛童的同游们一起，他们跟主尼天南的一起旅行。
Lord Nityananda and his associates, they would all dress like cowherd boys.
主尼天南的和他的同游们，他们的穿着打扮都像牧牛童一样。
And they had, just like the cowherd boys, they have the ropes to tie the cows, and they have the buffalo horn, and they have the flute to call the cows.
就像牧牛童们一样，他们有绳子是用来绑牛的。而且他们还有水牛角是用来召唤牛的，另外还有呼唤牛的笛子。
So Lord Nityananda had a whole party of people like this. Many of them were in Krishna Lila, they were cowherd boys, and they'd come to take part in Lord Chaitanya's Lila.
主尼天南的于是有这一群的同游跟着他，他们绝大多数人都在 Krishna 的逍遥时光之中都是牧牛童。And
just like we have devotees traveling around in buses, they would travel around on their bullock carts, and they would go from village to village, and they do kirtan and preaching and programs and get people to surrender to Lord Chaitanya.
就像我们可以坐着大巴去旅行一样，他们是乘着牛车在一个村子到另外的一个村子去旅行，他们做 kirtan 举行节目，让人们臣服于主 Chaitanya。
So Ragunath Das came to Panihati, he heard Lord Nityananda was coming, he got permission from his family that he could go to Panihati and meet Lord Nityananda.
Ragunath Das 听说主尼天南的来到了帕尼哈蒂，于是他从家里得到了许可，能够去见主尼天南的。
And when Lord Nityananda came there in Panihati in front of Lord Nityananda, all the devotees, they recognized him because he was from a very wealthy family.
当他去帕尼哈蒂见主尼天南的时候，所有的奉献者都认出了他，因为他来自于一个非常非常富有的家庭。
And so Lord Nityananda said, "Oh, there's Ragunath." And he said, "You come here. Today I'm going to punish you."
主尼天南的说：“哦，这里是 Ragunath， 你过来，今天我要惩罚你。”
And he said, the punishment is you have to put on a festival, a big festival for all the devotees here.
然后主说，你要为这里所有的奉献者们举行一个盛大的节日。
You have to arrange a prasadam for everyone.
你要为每一个人安排 prasadam。
So in Bengal, this time of year, we all know it's very hot.
我 我们知道在孟加拉一年之中这个时候非常的炎热。
It's not easy to grow things at this time of the year.
在一年之中这个季节很难种任何的东西。
So what is there to eat?
那吃什么呢？
So Ragunath arranged, they got flat rice and yogurt and condensed milk and mangoes and bananas.
然后 Ragunath 就安排了有扁米、有香蕉、有芒果，就是有这些水果，还有炼乳。
And they got big clay pots.
还有很大的泥罐子。
And so they had their Panihatis right on the side of the Ganga. So he got all Ganges water, filled the pots with Ganges water, and they washed the flat rice in the Ganga water.
因为帕尼哈蒂就在恒河岸边，所以有很多恒河水，他们就用这个大罐子盛上恒河水，用它来洗扁米。
And they added condensed milk and yogurt and mangoes and bananas.
然后再加上炼乳、酸奶、香蕉、芒果。
And then this way they had many, many pots, big pots with all this flat rice, and they call shira and dahi, which is yogurt.
然后就有很多很多这样的罐子，他们管这个叫做 shira， 就是扁米，还有酸奶 ，dahi 就是酸奶。
And they offered it to Krishna and they distributed it to everyone.
他们把这个供奉给 Krishna， 然后派发给所有的人。
And when they were having the festival, more and more people began to appear.
当他们举行节日的时候，越来越多的人出现了。
We know in India, whenever there's prasadam distribution, there's always a lot of people.
我们知道，在印度，每当派发 prasadam 的时候，总会有很多的人参加。
We're never short of people.
我们从来不缺人。
There's always more and more people coming.
总会有越来越多的人来。
And the vendors also came, different people. Some people had mangoes, some people had bananas, other people were selling yogurt and condensed milk. They all came. Ragunath bought everything from them.
还有一些小贩，他们卖各种的东西，有人卖炼乳，有的人卖酸奶，有的人卖香蕉，有的人卖芒果。Ragunath 从他们那里购买了所有的物品。
He was purchasing everything and made sure there was enough prasadam for everyone.
他从他们那儿买下了所有的一切，确保每一个人都可以得到足够的 prasadam。
And when they were offering the prasadam, everyone could see how Lord Chaitanya manifested himself. Although he was not present, he manifested by his avirbhav potency.
当他们供奉的时候，朱彩他涅马哈普显现了。尽管大家知道朱彩他涅不在场，但是大家可以感受到朱彩他涅显现是通过他的 avirbhav 的力量。
Right, that although Lord Chaitanya, he was away in Puri, but they were having this feast, and he, by his mystic potency, he could appear there.
尽管朱彩他涅马哈帕布远在 Puri， 但是当大家做这个大餐的时候，通过朱彩他涅马哈帕布的玄秘力量，他就显现在了那里。
And they were Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda danced together.
朱彩他涅和主尼天南的一起跳舞。
And then they distributed prasadam to everyone.
然后他们把 prasadam 派发给每一个人。
And everyone got, even the dogs got prasadam.
每个人都得到了 prasadam， 甚至连狗都得到了 prasadam。
Just like when we go on parikrama, everyone gets prasadam.
就像我们去参加 parikrama 的时候，每一个人都可以得到 prasadam。
Even all the dogs will come, they also know, they will get prasadam.
所有的狗都来了，因为他们知道他们也能得到 prasadam。
So Lord Nityananda was very, very pleased.
所以主尼天南的非常非常高兴。
And Ragunath Das also arranged, he gave gold coins, he gave money to Lord Nityananda's secretary for any expenses which may be there for Lord Nityananda.
而且 Ragunath Das 还把一些金币、把一些钱给了主尼天南的秘书，这样就是在他们旅行之中可能有一些花费。
And Lord Nityananda then met with Ragunath Das in private, and Ragunath expressed his desire to get free from material life.
接着主尼天南的私下会见了 Ragunath Das， 然后 Ragunath Das 表达了他的愿望，他想摆脱家居生活。
So Lord Nityananda told him, very soon you're going to get out from this well of material life.
主尼天丹的告诉他说，很快你就可以摆脱这个物质生活的这口井了。
And Lord Nityananda placed his lotus feet on the head of Ragunath Das.
接着主尼天丹的把他的莲花足放在 Ragunath Das 的头上。
So Ragunath, after this was the Chiradahi Mahotsav, and after this Ragunath went home, and in a short time he was able to escape from home.
这就是 Chiradahi Mahotsav 这个节日，在这之后 Ragunath Das 回到家里，很快他就得到了机会可以离开家。
He didn't tell anyone about what happened with Lord Nityananda. He kept it to himself.
他没有告诉任何人主尼天丹的到底跟他说了什么，他就留在自己的心里。
But it happened that one morning, the pujari for their family home, they had the deity in their home, and the pujari who was supposed to do the puja could not come that morning.
这事情就是说，有一天早晨，他们家里有神像，照顾神像的 pujari 没有来。
So Ragunath said, "Oh, I will take care of it. Leave it to me. I'll go and get somebody to do the puja."
然后 Ragunath 就说：“哎，这个事儿我来办吧，不用担心了，我去找人来做puja。”
Just like, you have a temple, sometimes the pujari, he's sometimes maybe problem, maybe sick or something, can't come.
就像如果我们有庙宇的话，我们的pujari有时候因为生病就不能来了。
So you have to get some replacement to do the puja.
这样你就得替换一个人去做puja。
So Ragunath said, I'll go and get somebody for the puja.
然后 Ragunath 就说，我去找个人来做puja。
But what Ragunath did was, as soon as he got out of the house, he decided that this is a good chance for him to escape from the home.
当 Ragunath 从家里走出来之后呢，他就决定，其实这是一个很好的机会，他可以摆脱家庭了。
And he was careful. Usually he'd go on the main road, the main pathway to Puri, but this time he took other roads. He went on very quiet roads, which were away from the main road.
而且他非常的小心，通常他走大路，因为去 Puri 要走大路，但这一次呢，他走的很安静的一个小路，这样别人就不会发现。
So after some time in the morning, they realized something had happened. Where's Ragunath gone? He's not here.
早晨呢，过了一阵子之后，大家意识到好像出了问题 ，Ragunath 在哪？他不在了。
And they were looking, and then they understood he's run away again.
大家找啊找啊，然后意识到他再次的离家出走了。
So his father sent many men to look for him and bring him back.
他的父亲派了很多的人去找他，把他给抓回来。
But they only knew the main road. They didn't know all the back roads which Ragunath had taken.
但是他们只知道大路，他们并不知道 Ragunath 到底走的哪条小路。
So they went along all the main roads, and they couldn't find him.
他们沿着大路去找，但是找不到他。
And they met Shivananda Sen. He was there with a group of devotees.
后来他们见到了 Shivananda Sen， 他跟一群奉献者们在一起。
Every year Shivananda Sen would bring all the devotees from Mayapur, take them to Puri.
每一年 Shivananda Sen 都会带着玛雅普的奉献者们去 Puri。
Right? It's coming up to Rath Yatra time.
马上就要到 Rath Yatra 弹车节了。
So this is the time, if you're going to go to Puri, you should start walking now.
所以这就是到适当的时间了。如果你们要是想去 Puri 的话，现在就可以出发，可以走着去。
Right? We're going to walk, right?
你们是走着去的吧，对吧？
So it takes about 2 weeks.
大概2周就到了。
So you start now, you get there in time.
你们现在开始出发，到那儿会准时的。
So Shivananda Sen is traveling, and they have everybody with them. They have women and children, the whole family, the whole big group of people.
Shivananda Sen 带着一大群奉献者们一起旅行，有女人，有小孩，然后是所有各种各样的奉献者都跟他在一起旅行。
And so they thought, he must have seen, maybe Ragunath is with him.
然后大家就想，也许他看见了，也许 Ragunath 就跟他在一起。
But they met with Shivananda Sen, and Shivananda said, I never saw Ragunath. I don't see him anywhere. He's never been with us.
他们去找 Shivananda Sen， 结果 Shivananda Sen 说，我从来就没见过 Ragunath， 他根本就没有跟我们在一起。
So they went back and they told Ragunath's father, we couldn't find Ragunath anywhere.
然后他们回去告诉 Ragunath 的父亲说，我们哪儿都找不到他。
So Ragunath's father is very worried. What happened?
Ragunath 的父亲非常的着急，到底怎么回事啊？
But he understood Ragunath must have gone to Puri. Somehow he's avoided all the devotees and he's gone to Puri in the back roads and we couldn't find him.
但是他能够明白到 Ragunath 一定是去了 Puri。无论如何，他可能走的是小路，所以我们找不到他。
So his father thought, I will send him money because he's there in Jagannath Puri, didn't have any money. How will he live? How will he eat? So he gave a big sum of money and he sent also some brahmanas to cook. He said, you go there and cook nice food for my son, Ragunath. Take this money for him, give him this money to maintain himself.
然后他的父亲就在想，无论如何他会待在加格纳普瑞，那他怎么生活呀？他怎么吃东西呢？于是呢，他就找了一大笔钱，然后派人送过去，而且还派一些布拉姆纳们去给他做饭。他告诉这些布拉姆纳们说：“你们去给我的儿子 Ragunath 做饭。”
So Ragunath, he walked all the way to Puri. He got to Puri and he was taken to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Ragunath 他一路走到了 Puri， 然后有人带着他去见主 Chaitanya Mahaprabhu。
And Mahaprabhu told him, he said, you're very fortunate.
Mahaprabhu 告诉他，你非常的幸运。
He said, you were like an animal who had fallen in a pit which is meant for people to pass stool.
主告诉他说，你本来就像一头动物一样，落在了一个陷阱里，那个陷阱是别人拉屎的地方。
Your situation at home was just like that, living in a hole where people pass stool.
你在家里的情况就像那样，住在一个人们拉屎的坑里。
And you're very lucky to get out.
你现在非常幸运能够出来。
Usually people who fall into that condition, they never get out.
通常落入那种情况之中的人，他们永远也出不来。
We say it's a home which is very difficult to get out of.
如果这是一个家的话，就很难摆脱。
So Ragunath Das was told by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you're really very, very lucky. You should never go back to that life again.
主 Chaitanya 告诉 Ragunath Das 说，你非常非常的幸运，你永远不应该再回到那种生活之中去了。
And Lord Chaitanya gave Ragunath to his secretary, Swarup Damodar.
然后主 Chaitanya 把 Ragunath 给了自己的秘书 Swarupa Damodar。
So he became known as Swarupa's Ragunath.
于是他以 Swarupa 的 Ragunath 而著称。
So Ragunath was living in Jagannath Puri under the guidance of Swarup Damodar.
Ragunath Das 住在加格纳普瑞，在 Swarupa Damodar 的照顾和指导之下。
So Ragunath had come to Puri. He never directly approached Lord Chaitanya again.
Ragunath 住在 Puri， 他没有再次去直接去接近主 Chaitanya。
But he asked Swarup Damodar if there was any questions to ask. He would ask Swarup Damodar, and if Swarup Damodar was not sure, he would ask Lord Chaitanya.
如果他要是有问题的话，他就会去问 Swarupa Damodar。如果 Swarupa Damodar 也拿不准的话，就会去问主 Chaitanya。
Just like Srila Prabhupada said, he said, I never asked my Guru Maharaj I only asked him one question.
就像 Srila Prabhupada 他说，我从来没有问过我的 Guru Maharaj 问题，我其实只问过他一个问题。
Yes, I asked him one question. I asked him, how can I serve you?
我问他的这个问题就是，我怎么才能服务您？
So Ragunath Das asked through Swarup Damodar to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was his duty as a devotee?
Ragunath Das 通过 Swarupa Damodar 去问主 Chaitanya， 作为一个奉献者，他的职责是什么？
Now, you have to understand, Ragunath Das is renounced. He's not although he was in family life, he left the family life and he'd come to live with Lord Chaitanya. So he was taking a renounced life.
大家要知道 Ragunath Das 他是一个弃绝者，以前他在家庭的这个生活之中，但现在他已经弃绝了一切，他跟主 Chaitanya 一起居住。
So Lord Chaitanya gave the instructions, which are very important.
主宰他那给了他非常重要的训示。
And he told Swarup Damodar to tell Ragunath, he told him, you should never talk like the common people.
主宰他那告诉 Swarupa Damodar 去转告 Ragunath， 你永远不应该像普通人一样的谈话。
And you should not hear what they say.
而且你也不应该去聆听他们说的话。
You should not eat opulent foodstuffs.
你不应该吃非常富裕的食物。
And you should not dress in an extravagant, luxurious manner.
你不应该以一种非常奢侈的方式穿着华美的衣服。
He said you should not be anxious to be respected by others.
而且不应该迫切的想要得到其他人的尊敬。
But you should always offer respect to others.
你应该一直的去尊敬其他的人。
And you should constantly chant the holy name.
而且你应该一直不断的去唱诵圣名。
And in your mind you should remember Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan.
在你的心里，你应该一直意念着在 Vrindavan 的 Radha 和 Krishna。
So this was Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Ragunath Das Goswami.
这便是主宰他那Mahaprabhu 对 Ragunath Das Goswami 的训示。
So Ragunath Das, we said his father sent a lot of money to him and sent cooks as well.
我们已经说过 Ragunath Das 的父亲给他派，就是给他送了很多的钱，还给他派了厨师。
So Ragunath would have a feast. He would invite Lord Chaitanya and all the sannyasis every week, come and have a feast.
Ragunath 就会举行大餐，每一周他都会邀请主宰他那和跟他一起的散尼亚西们来吃大餐。
But after some time, he stopped inviting.
在过了一段时间之后，他停止邀请他们。
So Lord Chaitanya inquired. He said, "What happened?" He said, "Ragunath used to be inviting us. He's not inviting us anymore."
主宰他那就问这是怎么回事 ？Ragunath 以前常常邀请我们，现在他不请我们了。
He said, Ragunath sent the men back, and he sent all the money back as well.
然后人家告诉主说 ，Ragunath 把所有的人给送回去了，把钱也送回去了。
He doesn't want to keep it.
他不想留着这些东西。
Then Lord Chaitanya said, "Then how is he eating every day?"
然后主宰他那问，那他每天怎么吃饭呀？
They said, "Well, every day he stands outside the places where they give out food, where they're selling prasadam, where they're distributing food. He will stand there and beg."
然后就说每一天呢，他就会在人们派发 prasadam 卖这个食物的地方站着乞讨。
So Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, very nice, very good."
主宰他那说非常好，很好。
And Lord Chaitanya used to go to temple, and he would see Ragunath there begging every day.
主宰他那他经常去庙里，然后他就会看到 Ragunath 待在那儿在乞讨。
But then after some time, Ragunath was not there anymore.
但过了一段时间之后，发现 Ragunath 不在那儿了。
So Lord Chaitanya inquired, "What happened to Ragunath? Where's he gone?"
主宰他那就询问 Ragunath 在哪儿，他去哪儿了？
And he said, "Well, he decided that it was not good to stand there begging, because you think, oh, this person will give me, oh, that person gave me before, they'll give me again. So you think in this way, it's not very good, it's very materialistic."
然后人家就说，他觉得这个方式不好，因为他站在那儿乞讨，他就想着这个人可能给我，那个人以前给过我，现在可能还会给我，这样呢不是一种很好的想法，是一种物质主义的方式。
So then Lord Chaitanya said, "Then how is he eating?"
然后主宰他呢就问，那他怎么吃东西啊？
He said, "Well, Ragunath, he will go to the drains, and where they wash the pots, Lord Chaitanya will collect all the foodstuffs and the pieces of rice from the drain."
然后人家说Ragunath 他就会去这个下水道，就是人家不要的那些prasadam，他会洗一洗，然后再吃。
So Lord Chaitanya Ragunath would collect the rice from the drains, and he would wash it and dry it, and then he would honor it.
Ragunath 就从这个下水道里捡一些米，然后把它洗一洗晒干了再吃。
So Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, how nectar!"
主宰他那说，真是甘露啊！
I want to taste this nectar.
我也想吃这个甘露。
And Lord Chaitanya went looking, where is Ragunath?
主宰他就在找 Ragunath 在哪儿，
And he saw Ragunath about to take some of this rice.
然后看见 Ragunath 正好要吃一些这样的米。
And Lord Chaitanya said, you're feasting and not inviting me.
主宰他就说：“你自己吃大餐，你不邀请我。”
And Lord Chaitanya came and took some of the rice.
主宰他就来拿走了一些米，就吃了一些米。
So another very special pastime which Ragunath had with Lord Chaitanya was Lord Chaitanya gave him a gift.
那么另外一个逍遥时光，在主宰他和 Ragunath Das 之间发生的，就是主宰他送给了 Ragunath Das 一个礼物。
One devotee had come from Vrindavan and they brought a Govardhan Shila and they brought also a necklace of conch shells from Vrindavan.
有一个奉献者从文达文来，他带了一块勾儿丹希了，而且呢，他还从文达文带了一串海螺的花环。
So Lord Chaitanya used to take the Govardhan Shila and he'd put it on his head, put it on his eyes, and he'd smell it, look at it.
主宰他常常把这块希了放在自己的头上，放在自己的眼睛上，然后呢去闻这块希了。
He kept that Govardhan Shila with him for several months.
他一直身边留着这块希了好几个月，
And he'd wear the conch shells around his neck as a necklace.
而且他把这一串海螺当作项链戴在自己的脖子上。
But then Lord Chaitanya called Ragunath and he gave the Govardhan Shila to Ragunath.
然后主宰他叫来了 Ragunath， 把这块勾儿丹希了给了 Ragunath，
And he told Ragunath how to worship.
而且告诉 Ragunath 怎么去崇拜他。
So Ragunath was given this special gift by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
于是这个 Ragunath 从主宰他Mahaprabhu 那里得到了这个特殊的礼物。
Lord Chaitanya said that if you look at the Govardhan Shila, you can see Krishna in that stone from Govardhan Hill.
主宰他说，如果你看这块希了的话，你可以看到 Krishna 就在勾尔丹山。
And the necklace of conch shells represents Srimati Radharani.
而这串海螺的这个花环代表着 Srimati Radharani。
So Ragunath Das understood that Lord Chaitanya was giving Ragunath Das a place in Vrindavan.
所以这样我们就理解到，主宰他给了 Ragunath Das 在文达文的一个地方。
So after some time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the world. He finished his pastimes. And then Swarup Damodar also disappeared from the world.
过了一段时间之后，主宰他Mahaprabhu 他隐迹了，离开了这个世界，而 Swarupa Damodar 他也离开了。
So Ragunath Das considered that he should go to Vrindavan.
Ragunath Das 就想着他应该去文达文，
And he was thinking that he would jump off the Govardhan Hill and commit suicide.
他想从勾尔丹山上跳下来自杀。
But when he got to Vrindavan, he met with Rupa and Sanatan.
但是当他到了文达文之后，他遇到了 Rupa 和 Sanatan，
And Rupa and Sanatan were very happy to get him. And they gave him great association, and they told him Lord Chaitanya never approved anyone committing suicide.
他们非常高兴见到 Ragunath Das， 然后呢就给他们的联谊，并且告诉他说，主宰他从来不喜欢任何人去自杀。
So Ragunath stayed, and he went to live at Radhakund.
于是 Ragunath 留了下来，他住在 Radhakund。
And it was at Radhakund Ragunath Das made his residence, and he was regularly sitting there doing his bhajan.
Ragunath 他就以 Radhakund 为居所，然后经常在那儿做巴占。
Sometimes a tiger would come,
有的时候会有老虎来，
but then devotee could see that Krishna is coming, he's sending the tiger away.
但是奉献者们会看到 Krishna 来把老虎赶跑了。
And sometimes the sun is very hot, and Radharani comes and puts a cloth over his head to protect him from the hot sun.
然后有的时候太阳炙烤的特别厉害，于是 Radharani 会亲自来把一块布撑在他的头上，保护他免于太阳的炙烤。
So they told Ragunath, this is not good. you're taking service from Radha and Krishna.
于是大家就告诉 Ragunath 说这不好，你在接受 Radha 和 Krishna 的服务。
And so they told him you have to make your own little kutir, bhajan kutir here.
大家告诉他说，你应该在这儿建一个自己的 kutir， 一个巴将 kutir。
You cannot just simply live here, sit here in the open and have Radha and Krishna take care of you.
你不能露天的待在这儿，然后让 Radha 和 Krishna 来照顾你。
So Ragunath Das was sitting there at Radhakund and he was thinking how to make a nice place here.
Ragunath Das 他就坐在 Radha Kund 的旁边，他想着如何把这个地方变得很好。
Because already Rupa had built his Govardhan, Radha Govinda temple was going under construction, and Sanatan, he's got Radha Madan Mohan temple.
因为 Rupa Goswami 有他自己的庙，然后 Sanatan Goswami 也有他的 Madan Mohan 的庙。
So Ragunath thought it would be nice to develop the Radha Kund and Shama Kund.
于是 Ragunath Das 就想着，如果好好的发展 Radha Kund 和 Shama Kund 就太好了。
So it happened there was one man who was going to Badrinath. He was going to Badrinath, up in the Himalayas, and he was planning to take all of his money there and donate it in charity to the people up in Badrinath.
正好有一个人他要旅行去 Badrinath， 他要在 Badrinath 的那个庙呢，要把他所有的钱都给捐献出去。
He thought, let them make a nice temple there.
然后他就想在那儿做一个特别好的庙。
But when he was on the way there, he had a dream. And in the dream, Krishna appeared to him and told him, don't go to Badrinath, go to Radhakund, give this money to Ragunath, he needs this money.
但是当他在旅行的过程之中，他做了一个梦，主 Krishna 就告诉他说，你不用去 Badrinath， 你去找 Ragunath， 把这个钱给他，他需要这个钱。
So the man turned around, he had faith in his dream, he turned around, he went all the way back to Vrindavan and Radhakund, and in Radhakund he asked everyone, who is Ragunath? Do you know Ragunath here?
这个人对他的梦非常的有信心，于是他折返回来，然后他就去 Vrindavan 去 Radhakund， 就问所有的人，你们知道 Ragunath 是谁吗？他在哪儿？
And eventually the man met with Ragunath Das and he gave him all the money.
终于这个人见到了 Ragunath Das， 然后把所有的钱都给了他。
And Ragunath Das was able to make the beautiful Radhakund and Shama Kund.
然后 Ragunath Das 就可以建造非常美丽的 Radha Kund 和 Shama Kund。
So although Ragunath was from such a rich family, he didn't bring any of his wealth with him.
Ragunath Das 虽然来自于非常富有的家庭，但是他没有从家里带任何的财富，
He left everything.
他离开了所有的一切。
But Krishna provided everything he needed.
但是 Krishna 为他提供了所有他需要的一切。
And he lived in Radhakund till the ripe old age.
他一直住在 Radha Kund 到非常年迈的时候，
Hardly he would eat, hardly he would sleep.
他几乎不吃东西也不睡觉。
People could not understand how is he living.
人们无法理解他是怎么生活的，
But he was always in the ocean of love of Krishna.
但是他一直处在对 Krishna 的爱的海洋之中。
So we should understand from the pastime of Panihati that it's very important that you want to get the mercy of Krishna, you first of all have to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda.
从帕尼哈蒂的逍遥时光之中，我们需要了解的重要的点呢，就是说，如果想要得到 Krishna 的仁慈，我们必须先要得到主尼天南的仁慈。
Lord Nityananda is none different from Balaram, who's the original spiritual master.
主尼天南的跟主 Balaram 没有任何的区别，或者是最原初的灵性导师。
So you have to get the mercy of the spiritual master before you can get the mercy of Krishna.
所以在我们得到 Krishna 的仁慈之前，我们必须要得到灵性导师的仁慈。
And it was only when Ragunath got that mercy from Lord Nityananda that he could actually get out of his material life.
只有当 Ragunath 得到了这份仁慈之后，他得到了主尼天南的仁慈之后，他才能够摆脱家庭生活。
So that's why we celebrate this festival today.
这是为什么今天我们庆祝这个节日？
Are there any questions?
大家有什么问题吗？
Rajendra Prabhu?
You mentioned Ragunath. He wants to leave home, but not successful. He tried several times, and finally, when he's successful, because he got Lord Nityananda's mercy. So, how can we get Lord Nityananda's mercy? What shall we do?
I said, Lord Nityananda is the representative of the spiritual master.
我说主尼天南的是灵性导师的代表，
You have to please your spiritual master.
你要取悦你的灵性导师。
And when you please by the mercy of the spiritual master, you get the mercy of Krishna.
通过灵性导师的仁慈，你可以得到 Krishna 的仁慈。
You have to know how to please your guru.
你必须要知道如何取悦你的 guru。
If you don't know how to please your guru, why do you have a guru?
如果你不知道怎么去取悦你的 guru， 你为什么要有 guru 呢？
You have to understand the desire of your guru.
你必须要理解你的 guru 的愿望。
And you please Prabhupada. Prabhupada, of course, is the guru of everyone in the ISKCON movement. So you please Prabhupada. You know Prabhupada's desire, Prabhupada's mission. Take part in that and please him. You'll get the mercy of Krishna.
你要取悦 Prabhupada。Prabhupada 是ISKCON之内每一个人的 guru。你要了解 Prabhupada 的愿望 ，Prabhupada 的使命，你去参与其中，然后你就可以取悦 Prabhupada， 然后你就可以去得到 Krishna 的仁慈。
Yes.
看一下马法路给拉古纳大的训示是否适合我们日常活动。
The instructions given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Ragunath Das, are these instructions applicable to all the devotees in ISKCON?
Yes.
是的，
Don't act like a sahaja.
不要像一个撒哈吉一样，
Act like a normal person.
应该像一个正常人一样，
Keep Krishna in your heart.
把 Krishna 留在心里。
Yes. Good on.
吃的简单，穿的简单。我觉得我们现在就是吃的很富有，穿的很富有，这个怎么？
这个怎么办？
What shall we do? Because Lord Chaitanya told Ragunath Das that he should eat very simple, he should dress very simple, but now we eat very opulently, we dress also very opulently. What shall we do?
You don't dress opulently.
你穿的并不是非常的奢侈，非常的
I'm
华
just
丽，
wearing a piece of cloth.
你就穿了一块布而已，
Few pieces of cloth.
就是一
It's
块
not
布，
opulent.
这个不算是特别华丽。
他说他吃的特别丰富。
But he said he's eating very sumptuously.
Well, you don't have to eat so opulently. Nobody's forcing you.
你不用吃的这么丰盛，也没有人强迫你，
You have your independence.
你有你自己的独立性。
You don't want to eat opulently? Don't eat
如
opulently.
果你不想吃的特别的丰盛，你可以不用吃的那么丰盛，
Eat simply.
可以吃的很简单。
Our prasadam is not really so opulent.
其实我们的菩萨们并不是那么丰盛，
Rice, dal, chapati,
米饭、豆汤还有 chapati
it's not so opulent.
不是特别的丰盛。
Sometimes you have a mango.
有的时候有芒果，
Today you have a mango.
今天大家可以吃芒果。
Not so opulent.
不是特别的丰盛。Online questions, Guru Maharaj. Obeisances to Guru and devotees. Ragunath asks, why he's not taking his father's money? He's not following the Yukta Vairagya principle.
Why is not taking his father's money?
他为什么不接受他父亲的钱？
He'd rather depend on Krishna.
他宁愿去依靠 Krishna。
His father is not a fully pure devotee.
他的父亲并不是一个完全纯粹的奉献者，
His father is like a kanishta adhikar.
他的父亲好比是一位卡尼什塔阿迪卡
He's
人，
a materialistic devotee.
是一个物质主义的奉献者。
So people, it's actually Brahmana, people who are living like that by charity, they should be cautious about where they take charity from.
其实就是接受别人布施生活的 Brahmana 们，他们应该非常小心这个布施来自于何处。
If you take charity from a materialistic person, and you take charity for your own maintenance, you can become contaminated.
如果要是从一个物质主义者那里接受布施，用这个来为生的话，那你可能会受到污染。
So we can accept charity on behalf of the society, on behalf of the Krishna consciousness movement, and we can use the wealth, the money, for the service of the Krishna consciousness movement. That's all right.
我们可以代表这个协会，代表 Krishna 知觉运动来接受别人的布施，然后把这个钱用于发展 Krishna 知觉运动，这个是可以的。
But if you take the wealth for your own maintenance, then you will get karmic reaction.
但如果你用这个钱来养活自己的话，你就会得到业报的反应。
So devotees are cautious about taking money from materialistic people.
所以奉献者们非常的小心，从物质主义者那里接受金钱。
And particularly we're cautious about where we take food from.
而且我们尤其要小心从什么地方吃东西。
If materialistic people invite you to come and eat their food, you have to be very careful.
如果一个物质主义者邀请你去他们家吃东西的话，你应该非常的小心。
If you eat their grains, you will get their karma.
如果你吃他们的五谷，你会得到他们的 karma。
So Prabhupada told us you don't take any grains cooked by materialistic people.
所以 Prabhupada 告诉我们说，不应该吃任何由物质主义者所烹调的谷物。
Just tell them, give me some uncut fruit.
就告诉他们，给我一些没有切的水果。
If you take the fruit already cut, they may have used a knife which is used to cut non-vegetarian fruit.
因为如果你要是吃他们切好的水果的话，他们可能用这个刀去切一些非素食的东西。
So then that knife will be contaminated and the contamination will be put into the food.
这样他们的刀被污染了，而这个污染呢，可以进一步进入到这个水果里。
So Ragunath Das is a renounced person. He's going to live a renounced life. He has to be very cautious about where he eats and what he eats and who he takes money from.
然后 Ragunath 他已经接受了非常气绝的生活，所以他非常的小心他在什么地方吃东西，他吃什么。
He's not anxious. He's not concerned about wealth.
他一点也不着急，一点也不关心财富。
Somebody who is engaged in spiritual practice doesn't worry about money.
一个进行灵性修习的人是不担心金钱的。
Sometimes people who are going to become spiritual masters, they ask me, can I accept charity? Can I take wealth donations from people?
有的人他们要成为灵性导师了，然后他们就问我，我是不是可以接受别人给我的钱，可不可以接受别人给我的布施？
So at least in ISKCON, the principle is that if you accept some donations from people, these donations are for the use of the service of ISKCON.
那么在 ISKCON 这个规定就是说，如果你接受了别人的布施的话，那这个金钱应该是被用于对 ISKCON 的服务，
Shouldn't be for our own purposes.
不应该用在自己身上。
If you use them for your own purposes, then you'll get the karma.
如果你用在自己身上，你就会得到 karma。
So Ragunath didn't want the karma from his father and uncle.
所以 Ragunath 并不想接受来自于他的父亲和他的叔父的 karma。
He knew they are materialistic people.
他知道他们是物质主义者。
And materialistic people, they're often engaged in things like lying and cheating.
物质主义者总是在欺骗别人、撒谎，
So he didn't want to take any of their money.
所以他并不想接受他们的任何钱财。
Of course, you are saying Rupa Goswami taught Yukta Vairagya, using everything in the service of Krishna.
当然了，你提到Rupa Goswami 教导我们要做 Yukta Vairagya， 把所有的一切用于对 Krishna 的服务。
But Ragunath was not, there was no society, there was no organization. Ragunath was not thinking about using their wealth for any particular service of Krishna.
但是在 Ragunath 那个时代，没有任何的机构，所以呢 ，Ragunath 他就 想着没有办法用这个钱去给 Krishna 的某一个特定的项目去使用。
He wasn't going to print any books,
他也不去印什么书，
although he did write some books.
尽管他的确是写了一些书，
But 500 years ago, there was no printing press.
但是在500年之前没有出版社，
He just wrote on palm leaves.
他就写在棕榈树的叶子上。
And he wasn't planning to build any temple. He was living in Jagannath Puri with all the devotees there.
而且他们也没有计划建设任何的庙宇，他跟所有的奉献者们一起住在加格纳特普里，
So he wasn't thinking that I need money to do any big project.
所以他就想着我并不需要钱去做什么大的项目。
If you have a big project for the service of Krishna, then okay, you may take the...
那么如果你要是可以做一个大的项目服务 Krishna， 那你可以接受金钱，
But you have to be very careful
但是你应该非常的小心，
that the money is properly used for the service of Krishna.
这个钱一定要被恰当的用于对 Krishna 的服务。 Next question from Sati Mataji. Obeisances to Guru Maharaj. When we are studying Nectar of Devotion in the 4th chapter, it says, the pure devotee to give up the oneness with the Lord, Sayodhya Mukti, because this would make one lose his individuality, and this is despised by the devotees. But in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, verse 12, in the purport, it is mentioned that losing one's individuality is the opinion of Mayavadi, and Krishna mentions that a living entity's individuality would never be lost. So please, Gurudev, how can we understand this? 中文，顶拜古鲁玛哈拉在学习《放爱甘露》第4章时说，纯粹奉献者摒弃与主合一的 Sayodhya Mukti， 因为这使人失去个体性，受到奉献者的藐视。但在巴格 Gita 2.12要旨中说，失去个体性是 Mayavadi 的看法。Krishna 阐明生物体的个体性永远不会失去。请问 Gurudev， 我们应该如何理解？
Well, when we speak of oneness in relation to devotees, we're talking about oneness in desire.
当我们跟奉献者有关谈到这个合一的时候，我们谈到的是愿望的合一。
You have to understand the difference. Devotees want to have the same desire, be one in desire with Krishna.
你必须要了解到这个区别，奉献者想要跟 Krishna 有一致的愿望。
But the Mayavadis, their idea of oneness is merging, giving up their individuality.
但是 Mayavadi 们他们的这种合一是说要融入，要放弃自己的个体性。
We explain that in a family there are many individuals. There's the father and the sons, but they're all one. They all have the same desire for the welfare of the family.
我们说，在一个家庭之中，有很多的成员，有父亲，有儿子，但是他们也都是一，是因为他们有一个共同的愿望去发展他们的这个家。
But the Mayavadi, the impersonalists, their idea is that individuality is only temporary and they can ultimately merge into the oneness of the Supreme Brahman.
但是 Mayavadi 们他们的观点是，所有的这些个体性可以被放弃，他们可以最终的去融入非人格的布拉曼。
So in that way we understand oneness in a different way.
这样的话，我们是以不同的方式来理解这个合一的。Next question from Chandra Vilasani Mataji. Obeisances to Guru and devotees. I saw many letters by His Divine Grace mentioning we should perform our duties when we are preaching. For example, we should distribute books. So, I want to know, to perform this prescribed duty, and is that equal to I am staying at home and perform my family duties, but with the mentality of devotion? And there's another part of the question.
That's the first part.
顶拜咕噜奉献者们，我看到圣恩很多信件里谈到传教中履行职责，例如派书等等。这个履行职责和我在家里怀着奉爱心态履行职责是一样吗？
No, not exactly the same.
不完全一样。
You can't think that being at home, taking care of your family is also your devotional service to Krishna. She should not think that just by staying at home and doing her duties as a mother and a wife, that this is her service to Krishna.
她不应该想着待在家里就作为一个母亲履行她的职责，然后作为一个母亲，作为一个妻子照顾家人，这就是她对 Krishna 的服务了。
Just like every devotee, you have to chant 16 rounds.
就像是每一个奉献者都应该念诵16
You
圈
have
一
to
样，
study the scriptures, you have to hear the shastra.
我们必须要学习经典，聆听 Shastra。
And you should also have opportunities to go out and, or to share your knowledge with people.
而且你应该还有机会出去，把你的知识跟其他的人一起分享。
You have to have some kind of association, some group of people. You meet together regularly and discuss the teachings.
你应该有一群人，你应该跟他们一起去联谊，跟他们分享你学到的这些教导。
You cannot just be satisfied just to be a housewife.
你不能够仅仅作为一个家庭主妇就满足了，
You have to do more than that.
你必须要做的比这个多。The second part of the question is, there are so many letters in His Divine Grace, by His Divine Grace mentioning the transcendental competition and envy, and transcendental competition and envy fight. So there's any specific behavior and mentalities manifestation about this. The base is very grateful to Guru's mercy. Thank you. 虽然很多信件里还谈到超然的竞争、嫉妒，超然的竞争、嫉妒、斗争有哪些具体行为及心态展现呢？感恩Guru的仁慈，谢谢您。Transcendental envy, fight,
Yes.
competition.
Yes. What was the question?
She wants to know, can you give like some detailed description how we see the transcendental competition, envy, and fight?
Well, yes, Prabhupada spoke about transcendental competition. He spoke about devotees competing with each other in the service of book distribution.
当施罗帕帕德提到这个超然的竞争的时候，他讲的是奉献者们在派书的时候的这种超然的竞争。
Different temples would compete with each other to be the best in book distribution.
不同的庙宇他们会互相竞争，然后呢，在派书之中击败彼此。
And different temples would like to expand their temple and make nice temple, bigger temple.
不同的庙宇他们会想扩展自己的庙，变更大的庙、更好的庙，
So there would be competition.
所以就会有竞争。
But it's transcendental. It's for the service of Krishna.
但这些都是超然的，这是为了 Krishna 的服务。
So Prabhupada would encourage the devotees in that kind of competition.
所以他会鼓励奉献者从事这样的竞争，
Because it's not for their sense
因
gratification.
为这个不是为了大家的感官享乐，
It's for the pleasure of
这
Krishna.
是为了 Krishna 的快乐。
So Prabhupada encouraged devotees, go ahead, compete with each other.
所以帕布帕他鼓励大家去吧，不互相竞争。
But as far as envy is not a quality which we encourage. Rather, devotees should be without envy.
但是嫉妒这个不是我们所推崇的品质，奉献者应该摆脱嫉妒。
We have to understand that Arjuna was without envy, and that's why Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to him.
我们要知道，Arjuna 没有嫉妒之心，所以 Krishna 讲了八国 Gita 给他。
And similarly in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva begins Srimad Bhagavatam. He said that this book is meant for those who are not envious.
同样道理，在施曼八国当之中，施勒比亚斯德也说，这部书呢是给那些不嫉妒的人讲的。
Right? Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. This book is to Srimad Bhagavatam rejects all religion which are materially motivated.
这部施曼八国他们的著作排斥所有有物质动机的宗教。
And so people who are envious of each other, they're all material. Their motivation is material.
所以那些有嫉妒心的人，他们的动机是物质的。
Rather, devotees should appreciate other devotees.
奉献者应该去欣赏其他的奉献者。 And the transcendental fight，
Transcendental fight. Well, fight to please Krishna.
可以为了取悦 Krishna 而这样的争斗，
Fighting Maya.
去跟玛雅斗争。
We're all fighting Maya. We're fighting this illusory energy.
我们都在跟玛雅在斗争，我们在跟这个虚幻的能量在斗争，
That is the real fight.
这才是真正的斗争，
Fighting our mind.
跟我们的心意斗争，
Fighting our material desires.
跟我们的物质愿望斗争。
To fight.
我们要斗争。
Krishna said, stand and fight.
Krishna 说站起来战斗，
Don't give up the fight.
不要放弃这个战斗。
Rajendra.
这个瓦古纳特大理吃这个地下管道里的食物，我们不能模仿，应该追随他的教导。我想知道他吃这个地下水沟里的这个食物给我们什么教导，好让我们去追随。
You mentioned Ragunath is eating the rice coming from the drain. So what can we learn from this? Because we cannot imitate him. We should follow him. How we follow him in this aspect?
Well, we're not meant to imitate. You're right. We have to follow in the footsteps. We should learn not to waste anything.
你说的对，我们不应该模仿，我们应该追随，我们应该学习的是不应该浪费任何东西。
So if there's a lot of rice around at the drains and so on, you should pick them up and you should give them to the animals, have them for the dogs or
如果要是在下水道附近有很多的米饭的话，你应该把它们都捡起来，然后可以去喂狗，去给其他的生物体吃，不应该浪费。
usually we have leftover rice, we give it for the dogs. There's some dogs around here, they come and eat here.
通常呢，如果我们要是有剩余的这个饭，就会给这个狗吃，因为有一些狗就会到这儿来。
Sometimes the jackals may even come and eat.
有的时候甚至柴也会来。
No, shouldn't waste anything.
不应该浪费任何东西。
Everything should be used for the service of Krishna.
所有的一切都应该被用于对 Krishna 的服务。
So we take prasadam, you can't eat everything, don't throw it away.
我们荣耀菩萨的吃不完，不要把它扔了，
Put it under the tree, let the insects come and eat it.
把它放在树下，可以让那些昆虫来吃。
Prabhu, Chaitanya.
Just now you see that Ragunath Das, just now you mentioned that Ragunath Das didn't take any of his family's money, and then he came without anything. Sometimes we in this situation, we have our previous ashram, and we have sometimes collected some money or even the house or whatever. Then we are coming to serve with the different ashram. So how we can use that, and also sometimes we inherit money from our family. So then how we can justify, how we can use it in the Krishna service? How is that?
The family leave you money?
Yeah.
Inheritance like? Something like that?
Yes.
So how we can use it in Krishna's service?
这个问题是说，比如我从家里继承了一些钱，那我怎么把它用于对 Krishna 的服务？
And give it to TOVP.
给 TOVP，
Build the temple, help build the temple.
盖庙，帮助盖庙。
If in terms of like maybe some house or some land, we sell the house with the money.
What do
No,
you
we
mean
have
sell the house? If I have land and house, I sold them. Then that money.
That money to sell the house. Okay. You got money, use it for Krishna.
如果有钱就把它用于 Krishna，
You can buy a bunch of books and give out the books.
可以买一堆书，然后去派书。
You don't like to distribute books, give them to somebody who does distribute
如
books.
果你不喜欢派书的话，可以给那些派书的人。
There's always temples looking for donations.
总会有庙在寻求捐款。
Janananda Maharaj is looking for big donations to save that new Mayapur in France.
加拿大的马哈拉是他在等着要一大笔捐款来拯救法国的这个新马雅普。
They need 100,000 euros
他们需要成百上千的这些欧元，
to upgrade their security systems in the guest house.
修缮他们的保安的系统，还有他们的宾馆。
Oh, there's so many projects in this.
在伊斯兰有很多的项目，
We can donate to these projects.
可以给这些项目捐款。
Use it for Krishna somehow. Don't just take it for your own eating and sleeping.
不要把这个钱用于自己的吃饭、睡觉之类
And
的，
that way you give the greatest benefit to the person who left the money.
因为你把这个用于做服务，你就把这个给，就是谁给你钱，你就会给他带来最大的好处。
Put the donation in their name.
用他们的名义去捐款。
像今天这种7月18这个节日，在中国有没有必要做？如何做？
就是这个节日。
在中国是今天这个节日。
Today's festival, how can we celebrate this festival in China? Is that necessary for us to celebrate?
Well, every festival you have your independent choice. Prabhupada said every day we can have a festival.
每一个节日，其实你都可以有你自己独立的选择。施罗巴帕德说呢，每一天我们其实都可以举办一个节日。
But this is a popular festival.
这是一个很受欢迎的节日，
Devotees enjoy it.
奉献者都很喜欢。
They have flat rice and yogurt and mangoes.
有扁米，有酸奶，还有芒果。
And
是不是中国的奉献也按照这种您说的乐区？
So the Chinese devotees, they can follow the procedure you mentioned, and then they can do the festival.
yeah,
是的，
yeah, they can have the festival.
他们可以举行这个节日。
Yeah, they should also hear about Ragunath Das
他们也应该聆听 Ragunath Das 的逍遥时光，
and understand how he got the mercy of Lord Nityananda, and how he got him out of the well of material life.
他们大家也应该明白到，就是 Ragunath Das 如何得到了主题天难的仁慈，如何摆脱了家居生活的这口井。
Okay?
More questions online. Sitarani Mataji is asking obeisances to Guru. Why Ragunath Das Goswami wants to commit suicide? Is that because a pure devotee they transcend and they no need to compromise with the material world? If we also practice how to make balance between the material side and the spiritual side, when everything is balanced, do we need to go back to the spiritual world? Because inside the material world, everything is balanced. It's already good enough. 中文顶拜古鲁，为什么 Ragunath Das Goswami 要自杀？是不是纯粹奉献者超越平衡，不需要妥协物质世界啊？如果我们练习平衡物质和灵性到平衡了的时候，那还用回灵性世界吗？待在物质世界已经平衡了，挺好了的。
Ragunath thought about committing suicide because he was feeling the separation from Lord Chaitanya.
Ragunath Das 他想自杀，是因为他感觉到跟主Chaitanya之间的分离之情。
Lord Chaitanya departed from the world. Swarup Damodar had also left the world.
主Chaitanya 离开了这个世界，所以Rupa Damodar也离开了这个世
And
界。
a little while later, Gadadhar also left the world.
而且不久之后，Gadadhar 也离开了这个世界。
So Ragunath thought, what is the point to stay here in this world?
Ragunath 就想，待在这个世界上还有什么用处呢？
He thought, I will go to Govardhan.
他就想，我要去勾尔丹，
I'll just jump off the top of the
我
world.
就从勾尔丹山顶上跳下来。
But Rupa and Sanatan preached to him and told him this is not the way.
但是 Rupa Sanatan 给他讲，不是这种方式。
So balancing the material and spiritual world, you say the material world is very balanced. Yes, very balanced, but it's also very temporary.
那么关于平衡物质和灵性世界这方面，是的，物质世界有时候你感觉到平衡，但这种平衡是短暂的。
How long are you going to stay here in this world?
你在这个物质世界里能待多久啊？
Your time is limited.
你的时间是有限的，
You have to leave this world.
你必须要离开这个世
Where
界。
are you going to take your next birth?
你下一世在什么地方出生呢？
You should think about your next life.
你应该想一想自己的下一世，
Think about the future.
应该考虑一下未来。
You want to go and be with Krishna?
你想跟 Krishna 在一起吗？
You want to come back here?
你还是想再回到这里呢？
You want to come back? How are you going to come back? In what form?
你想回来，你怎么回来？你以什么样的形体回来？
It's Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga gets worse as it goes on.
卡利优格的这个进程会越来越糟糕，
It's already very bad,
已经很糟糕了，
and it's going to get worse.
而且会更糟。
You want to come back again?
你想再回来吗？
You must be crazy.
一定是疯了。 Next question.
下一个
From Girija Mataji, obeisance to Gurudev, obeisance to all the devotees. Why we have to put yogurt rice into clay pot?
Well, they put,
为什么酸奶饭要盛在瓦罐里呢？
well, just to mix it all together.
就是为了把它们混合在一起。
All right, you have to mix it all together. They put it in the pot. They give everybody a pot. Here's your pot. Here's your pot.
把它们混合好了之后，给每个人发，这是你的罐子，那是他的罐子。
Everybody gets a pot.
每个人都有一罐子。
And you got your pot, and inside the pot is the prasada.
你有你的罐子，罐子里边是prasada。
Okay?
可以吗？ Next question from Xinlu. Guru Maharaj, obeisances unto you. Ragunath Das is finding an excuse to look for the pujari and then he ran away. Is that a kind of cheating?
Yes.
是的。Ragunath Das 借口找 pujari 出逃是欺骗吗？是的。
Yes, great souls cheat for a great cause.
是的，伟大的灵魂是为了伟大的理由来欺骗的。
Just like Sanatan cheated to get out of jail.
就像是 Sanatan 也做了欺骗来逃离监狱。
There are many examples how devotees cheat.
有很多的例子都说的是奉献者骗人。
And they cheat not for sense
他们
gratification,
骗人不是为了感官享乐，
but they cheat so they can fully dedicate themselves to Krishna.
他们骗人是为了能够全身心的投身于对 Krishna 的服务。Next question. Sati Mataji, I want to ask how to understand losing one's individuality. 我是想问如何理解失去个体性的说法。
You never lose your individuality. You're always an eternal individual.
你永远不会失去你的个体性，你永恒的是一个个体。
But you can change your interests.
但是你可以改变你的兴趣。
We said you should have the same interest as Krishna.
你应该让自己的兴趣跟 Krishna 一致，
Become one with Krishna
跟
in
Krishna 合
interest.
一在这个兴趣上。
Understand the desire of
要
Krishna.
理解到 Krishna 的愿望，
Understand the desire of all the acharyas.
理解到所有的 acharya 们的愿望，
And develop the same interests as they have. Become one with them in interest.
发展跟他们一样的兴趣，就是发展跟他们在兴趣上、在利益上跟他们是相契合、相一致的。
Right. We often say Hare Krishna movement is a family.
我们经常说 Hare Krishna 运动是一个大家庭
Right. And Prabhupada is the father.
，Prabhupada 是父亲，
And we are all the children.
我们都是孩子。
And we all have the interest of the father, the family at heart.
然后呢，我们的内心之中都想着我们这个家庭的利益、家庭的兴趣。
The interest of the family is Prabhupada's desire to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere.
家庭的利益就是帕帕德他的愿望，把 Krishna 知觉传遍所有的地方，
To give everyone some Krishna, awakening them to a higher purpose of goal of life, a higher standard of consciousness.
让每一个人都达到更高的知觉状态，能够唤起他们的这种 Krishna 知觉，
Not just only simply eating, sleeping, mating, defending,
并不仅仅是吃睡、防卫和交配，
but understanding our spiritual needs.
而是要理解到我们的灵性需求。Krishna Kumari Mataji is asking obeisances to Gurudev in Bhagavad Gita 14.5 in the purport. Because all the living entities, they have different bodies and they have different natures. So the different living entities, they have to act according to their own nature. So this is the reason for all kinds of pleasure and suffering. So here it is mentioned nature. What is the difference between nature and individuality? And when we go back to the spiritual world, among all the qualities in our individuality, which nature is the part purified? Which part can remain? 请拜 Gurudev Bhagavad Gita 14.5要旨说，因为众生有各不相同的躯体，而且本性各异，所以使得生物按照那种本性而活动，这就是各种苦乐的原因。这里说的本性与个体性有什么不同？回到灵性的世界后中的个体性中，哪些是本性中被净化了的部分，哪些是被保留下来的？ Nature and individuality, what is the difference? And when we go back,
Nature and individuality, what's the difference, right? Okay, individuality, we're individual souls, we're jivatmas, we have our own individual karma, we have our own individual identity, spiritual and material.
个体性指的是我们都是个体的灵魂，我们都是吉瓦特玛，我们有自己的身份，我们有自己的这种个别的这种品性。
But nature, when we talk about nature, we mean I have my nature, you have your nature. Yes, we have our different natures. You could say someone's nature may be very kind, someone's nature may be very charitable, someone's nature may be very cold.
我们谈到本性，你有你的本性，我有我的本性。我们谈到本性的时候，我们可以说，有的人他的本性非常的善良，有的人的本性非常乐善好施，有的人的本性非常的冷酷。
So what can we say? Nature. That ultimately our nature is to be servant of Krishna.
最终极的，我们的本性是成为 Krishna 的仆人。
We have to. That's our pure nature.
这是我们的纯粹的本性。
But in the material world, we've forgotten Krishna. We've turned away from Krishna.
但是在物质世界里呢，我们忘记了 Krishna， 我们从 Krishna 那儿转身离开了。
So we have to purify our consciousness.
所以我们要净化我们的知觉。
And then we can understand our actual nature.
这样我们可以理解到我们的实际的本性。
That we're not material bodies, we're spiritual living entities.
我们不是这个物质躯体，我们是灵性的生物
We
体。
have an eternal relationship with Krishna.
我们跟 Krishna 有一个永恒的关系。
He's the master, we're the servant.
他是主人，我们是仆人。Next question. Sitarani Mataji, Gurudev, do we still have to balance between the material and the spiritual side? Or we keep a balance in order to not be disturbed in the spirituality, and actually we want to elevate ourselves on the spiritual path? Do we need to balance between material and the spiritual? Gurudev, 那我们还需要平衡物质和灵性吗？还是维持平衡的目的是为了灵修不受打扰？实际上一心往灵性上奔呢？
Well, yes, we do. We need to have some balance in material. So long as you're conditioned, so long as you're in this material world,
只
you're
要你还受到
conditioned.
局限，只要你还是在这个物质世界里，你是受到局限的。
So you have to take care of your the basic needs.
所以你要照顾到自己的基本的需求。
And just like materially, you have a family, you have a husband, you have children, you have to take care of these things.
就像在物质生活之中，你有丈夫，你有孩子，你有配偶，你必须要照顾到这些方方面面。
And spiritually, you could just say, I'm a soul, I don't have nothing. These people are all separate from me, they're nothing to do with me.
从灵性上来讲，你可以说我是一个灵魂，我跟这些人都是分开的，我跟他们都没有任何的关系。
You cannot think like that.
但是你不能那么想，
You have to consider your position.
你要考虑到自己的地位。
And you're attached. You're attached to your children. You're attached to your mother. You're attached to your husband.
其实你是依附的，你依附你自己的孩子，你依附你的母亲，你依附你自己的丈夫。
Don't think you're a liberated soul.
不要把自己当成一个解脱了的灵魂，
You're trying to.
你是在努力的想要达到解脱的状态。
It will take some time.
这个需要花一定的时间，
So you have to progress gradually.
所以你要逐渐的进步。
Gradually, you understand these material situations are temporary.
逐渐的，你就会明白到这些物质的状况都是短暂的。
Gradually, Krishna will take things away from you.
逐渐的，Krishna就会把这些事情从你这儿拿走。
Your children will grow up, they go away, get married, they go off.
然后你的孩子们会长大，他们会走开，他们会离开到别的地方去，会结婚。
Your parents, they'll leave the body.
你的父母会离开躯体，
You'll be left alone.
你就会被剩下来。
So you have to understand the nature of the material world.
所以你要理解到物质世界的本性。Mohini Mataji is asking obeisances to Gurudev. In the purport of Bhagavad Gita 18.55, Sanskrit word Vishate means a person can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord by his individual identity, and he can enter into his association and directly serve him by devotional service. For example, the green bird, it flies into the green forest, not to become one with the forest, but to enjoy the fruits in the forest. And Guru just mentioned we have two dovetail our individual desire and the Lord's desire. So this is one kind of oneness. And the green bird fly into the green forest. Is that better than the river flowing into the sea?
Yes.
是的，故事的顶拜故事的波加梵歌18.55要旨中说，梵文 Vishate 意味着人能以个体身份进入至尊主的居所，进入与他的联系之中，直接为他所奉爱服务。例如绿鸟飞入绿林，为的不是与绿林合一，而是要享受林中的果实。故事讲到的个体性的愿望和主的愿望合一是一种合一。绿鸟飞入绿林是否优于河水流入大海？故事马哈就说是的。
Yeah, the river flowing into the sea, that's the impersonalists like that idea because they think you lose your individuality.
河流流入大海，非人格主义者非常喜欢这个例子，是因为你会失去你的个体性。
But we prefer the example of the green bird going into the green tree.
但是我们更喜欢这个绿鸟飞入绿林的例子。
Because the green bird will keep his individuality.
因为绿鸟会仍然保持它的个体性。
So we don't give that example about rivers flowing into the sea and becoming one with the sea.
所以通常我们不会举出这个河流流入大海的例子，然后跟大海合而为一。
We say there are living entities. There are fish in the sea, and they flow in from the river. They may flow into the sea. They keep their individuality.
我们说水里有生物体，比如说鱼，它们可以从河流流入大海之后呢，它们还保持自己的个体性。
And they can go deep into the ocean.
它们可以进入大海的深处，
They keep their individuality.
仍然保持自己的个体性。
In the same way, the green bird in the green tree, the bird keeps its individuality.
同样道理，当绿鸟飞入绿林之后呢，它们也保留自己的个体性。Next, Chen Fang is asking, should we live at present? So why we are thinking too much about in the future? Because in the future I cannot control, and thinking is like a very useless thinking. In this life we already have too much trouble. We cannot think about illusory next birth. And the spiritual world gives us a kind of a feeling that is doesn't exist. It's like a celestial place. And if we believe the existence of the spiritual world, if we believe the existence of God, but then we cannot rationally, scientifically to convince those non-believers. Mainly she wants to say we should live at the present and we shouldn't think Chen Fang, Bhakti Chen Fang. We shouldn't think about the future. We cannot convince others about the existence of God and the spiritual world.
That's fair enough.
请教一下，如果不是活在当下吗？考虑那么多未来干什么？再说未来也不受自己控制，感觉白考虑。
Think about the present.
应该考虑当下。
But you got to make the best use of the present.
但是你应该充分的利用好当下。
For some people, it helps them when they think about the future. Then be more careful how they use the present.
通常我们说考虑未来的时候，我们也要好好的考虑一下如何利用现在当下。
If you just only think about the present now, well then something happens in the future, you're not ready for it.
因为如果你只考虑当下的话，那么你不考虑未来，未来发生一些事情你就没有做好准备。
So there is some need to think about the spiritual world. You say the spiritual world is difficult to conceive of, to think about it, but rather we should be thinking about it. We should be thinking that Krishna has his own abode and we'd like to go there.
我们应该考虑到灵性世界，然后你说很难考虑到灵性世界的存在，我们应该考虑到 Krishna 在一个灵性的居所里，而且我们要去那个地方。
And you can go to Vrindavan. Vrindavan is not different from the spiritual world.
你可以去文达文，文达文跟灵性世界没有区别。
When Prabhupada was traveling in America, he said, let's go back to Mayapur, let's go back to Godhead.
他在美国旅行的时候，他说我们回玛雅普吧，我们回归守神吧。
This holy Dham is not different from the spiritual world.
这个神圣的 Dham 跟灵性世界没有任何的区别。
So we should be thinking about the holy places and we should want at the end of the life, we want to be able to fix our mind on these kind of places.
我们应该想着圣地，在我们的生命的末尾，我们应该让自己的心意专注在这些圣地上。
We want to go back to Godhead. We should be thinking about Godhead.
我们想回归守神，首先应该想着守神。
Yam yamba pismaram vavam chachite anti kalevara. Whatever we remember at the end of life, we will get that state in the next life.
无论我们在死亡的时候想着什么样的状况，我们在死后一定会达到那种状况。
So we need to think about the spiritual world.
所以
We
我
do
们
need to
想着
think.
灵性世界，我们是需要去想的。
Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wrote a poem. He said, "Forget the past that sleeps, and don't dream about the future."
Bhaktivinoda Thakur 他写了一首诗，说不要想着过去，这个已经休眠了，也不要再梦想着未来。
He said, "Live with times which are with thee."
那么应该活在我们有的这个时间之内，
And that way you will get progress.
这样我们可以取得进步。
So yeah, it's good to think about the present.
所以是的，我们应该想着当下，
Make the best use of the present.
我们应该充分的利用当下，
But don't just be reckless and casual and think, oh, it will all just happen on its own.
但是不要太随意，想着所有的一切都是随便发生的。
We do need to have some kind of thought about the future.
我们都应该对未来有所考虑。
Why should we bother coming to Krishna consciousness if there's no future?
如果没有未来的话，你为什么要这么麻烦的进入Krishna知觉呢
Krishna consciousness offers a better future,
？Krishna知觉可以给你提供一个更好的未来，
a better next life.
一个更好的下一世。
Good life now and a better next.
现在的生活会很好，下一世也会好。
And Prabhupada does write in some purports in the Bhagavad Gita, he said you should be fascinated about the spiritual world.
而且说了帕帕的确是在巴格吉特的一些要旨中提到，说你的确是应该为灵性世界感觉到心旷神怡。
We should be eager to go back to Krishna.
我们应该非常迫切的去回归 Krishna 那里。Last question, Gati Prada. A business is to Gurudev. So if the material side and the spiritual side are not balanced, so we cannot make any spiritual progress, right? 明白 Gurudev， 物质和灵性不平衡，就根本不会灵性进步，是吗？
Well, it depends. If you're fully on the spiritual side, then you don't need any material side.
这个不一定，如果你完全处在灵性的这一方面，你就不需要任何物质的方面了。
If you're fully transcendental, it's not a problem.
如果你完全的超然，就不是问题。
You can just be a fully spiritual person.
你可以完全成为一个灵性的人，
You don't need anything material.
你不需要任何物质的东
You
西，
don't worry about anything material. You have no material desires, no material attachments.
你不需要担心任何物质的方面，你没有物质的愿望，没有物质的依附，
You're a completely liberated soul,
你是一个完全解脱了的灵魂，
so you don't have to worry about the material.
这样你就不用担心物质了。
If you're on that level, very good.
如果你在这个层面上非常好，
Is he a devotee?
Yes, seems like devotee because the name is Kati Prada, but I don't know if Mataji or Prabhu. Mataji.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sitarani.
Guru
Sitarani.
Sitarani's friend, devotee. No more questions.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're going to have kirtan for a little while, is it? Have our kirtaners here?
Hare Hare
Прасад готов. Сегодня также день рождения. День рождения. Гададхара. Счастье приготовили. Сына, день рождения сына, 2 годика. Ай, баба. Махарадж раздает прасад мункейк. Хари преданные, сегодня день рождения Гададхара сына, Гададхара Прабху. Махарадж раздает прасад. Ты взяла?